Parallel universes have always fascinated me, and it's always been a popular subject in modern sci-fi, on film, TV, and comic books. To explain alternate realities, it's worlds that exist on top of our own. These worlds may be similar, or may be very different, and these concepts have been played on all throughout history. Author C.S. Lewis was one of the first to explore this in the book The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, where the wardrobe acts as a portal to another world. The idea of alternate realities was also expanded upon in Marvel and DC comic books. In the 90s sci-fi series Sliders, there were thousands of different realities where the main characters could travel. In the popular Star Trek episode Mirror Mirror, a mirror universe with an alternate timeline with complete opposites of the main characters was depicted. This mirror universe had a different timeline with a changed past. These alternate timelines are made when time travel changes the timeline of a universe, resulting in a different outcome. A perfect example of this would be what would happen if you travelled back in time and killed Hitler. How would it affect the timeline? Mirror Mirror was the 4th Season 2 episode of Star Trek and was first broadcast on October the 6th, 1967. In this episode, after Kirk and his team beam back to the Enterprise during an ion storm, it causes a transporter malfunction, swapping Captain Kirk and his companions with alternate versions of themselves. The crew find themselves in a mirror universe reality, where the Enterprise is a ship under the rule of the Terran Empire, a conquering, barbaric, murdering empire where officers are assassinated and tortured. In this episode, we have an evil version of First Officer Spock, complete with a sinister-looking mustache and goatee. Kirk learns that in this universe, his mirror double took command of the ISS Enterprise by assassinating Captain Christopher Pike, and has since then committed many atrocities. This is the only time in the original series where Pike is mentioned, but does not appear in the episode. Meanwhile, in the real universe, aboard the USS Enterprise, Spock puts the mirror universe double in the brig. Spock determines how to send them back to their own universe. The episode Mirror Mirror was directed by Mark Daniels, who directed 15 episodes of Star Trek, and he wrote the Star Trek animated episode titled One of Our Planets is Missing. Mirror Mirror was written by Jerome Bixby. Bixby was no stranger to science fiction, having written the Twilight Zone episode It's a Good Life, which he wrote in 1953. This episode premiered in 1963. This episode's story was also included in a segment of the Twilight Zone movie in 1983. With writer Otto Clement, he co-wrote the story of the classic science fiction movie Fantastic Voyage in 1966 and approached science fiction writer Isaac Asimov to do the novelization. Bixby also wrote the original screenplay for It, The Terror from Beyond Space, which would be the main inspiration for Alien in 1979. His other Star Trek episodes which he wrote were the episodes Day of the Dove, Requiem for Methuselah, and By Any Other Name. Bixby's final produced and published work was a screenplay for the science fiction film The Man from Earth. Bixby would pass away in 1998, 9 years before The Man from Earth's release. The 7th season, Deep Space Nine episode The Emperor's New Cloak, set in the Mirror universe, was dedicated in Bixby's memory. Bixby would base Mirror Mirror very loosely on his own short story, One Way Street. In the original draft of the script, Kirk travels to a parallel universe alone. In one draft, the Mirror universe gradually rejects Kirk, and he is treated like an invading germ by poisoning his systems. Both these ideas would be dropped. In Jerome Bixby's original outline, the Mirror Universe Federation was not evil, but simply backwards in terms of technology. It took about a month to complete production of Mirror Mirror. During filming, guest star Barbara Luna would be diagnosed with strep throat. Since the scene was a kissing scene between Captain Kirk, they had to postpone shooting the scene for 3 weeks until she was well enough and given the all clear.
I had an interesting situation. About the 4th day into shooting, I woke up with a strep throat, so I kind of dragged myself out of bed and went to the studio, and they took one look at me and they said, "Oh my God, call the doctor." And he said, "If she looks at anybody, you're all going to get sick. She's so infected. And of course, the scenes that we had left with the good captain was the big smooch. They're not going to let us kiss. So what they did do was stop that particular segment, and then they went on and did 2 or 3 more. About a month later, I came back. I'd probably dropped a few pounds.
George Takei and Barbara Luna had previously been seen together on the TV series Hawaiian Eye in the episode Sword of the Samurai in 1960. Actor Vic Perrin portrays Tan. This was his second appearance on Star Trek. He supplied the voice of Nomad in the previous episode, The Changeling. To make sure that it looked like a parallel universe, phasers were worn upside down on the left hip. A modified brig makes its first appearance in this episode. In this original episode, the mirror universe differences apparently only apply to humans, as the Vulcans are still rational and logical. This was not the case, however, in the mirror universe episodes of Star Trek Deep Space Nine. In Mirror Mirror, Star Trek was one of the first shows to reveal a woman's navel, which at the time was taboo on TV in the late 60s. Shows of that time, including the show I Dream of Jeannie, were prohibited from showing a woman's navel, but in Mirror Mirror, Uhura's navel is actually visible, and they get away with it. The score for Mirror Mirror was composed and arranged by Fred Steiner. He was known for providing the main themes of The Rocky and Bullwinkle Show and Perry Mason. Steiner made significant contributions to Star Trek, scoring or conducting music for 29 of the original series' 79 episodes, as well as composing and orchestrating additional music for the Star Trek The Motion Picture score. The mirror universe concept in the Star Trek franchise was revisited in 5 episodes of Star Trek Deep Space Nine titled Crossover, Through the Looking Glass, Shattered Mirror, Resurrection, and The Emperor's New Cloak. In the Star Trek prequel series Enterprise, the mirror universe is explored once again in the 2-parter In the Mirror Darkly, which was the sequel to the original series episode The Folian Web. In this episode, the fate of the USS Defiant is revealed. The mirror universe was once again explored in the non-canon fan-produced web series Star Trek Continues episode Fairest of Them All. This episode is a direct continuation of the episode Mirror Mirror. The mirror universe was the subject of a Star Trek DC Comics graphic novel titled The Mirror Universe Saga, written by Mike Barr, and was published in April of 1991 and runs for over 8 issues. The Mirror Universe Saga is set after the events of the film Star Trek III: The Search for Spock. William Shatner even wrote Star Trek novels titled Spectre, Dark Victory, and Preserver, which were all set in the Mirror Universe. The novels take place in the 24th century, near the same time as the Next Generation movies, and give a 100-year history of events in the Mirror Universe, following the events of the episode Mirror Mirror. The Mirror Universe idea was also used in one of the best Lost in Space episodes of the 3rd season, called The Antimatter Man, which I think is definitely inspired by Mirror Mirror. I made a video on this very episode, and I have placed a link for this video below. Mirror Mirror is definitely one of the top 10 most memorable episodes of the original series, and it's definitely one of my favourites. My name's Jonathan, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and like what you see on my channel, please subscribe, and if you would like to become a patron on my Patreon, click on the link below.